Carolina Beach Inlet to the sea has been with us since the early 50s and used by fishermen and area boaters since its creation. It provides a quick shot to the Atlantic Ocean from the southern portions of New Hanover County. It also allows local boaters access to some of the best offshore fishing in North Carolina. The inlet, however, has a checkered reputation. At first glance, it appears harmless. Unfortunately, it can be quite hazardous. Weather, tides, currents, and a changing channel can cause a difficult and dangerous passage. Here's what's printed on the nautical charts in this area. The purpose of this instructional video is to acquaint you with the inlet and its issues so that, if you choose, you can utilize its quick entrance to the Atlantic Ocean in a knowledgeable, prudent, and safe way. Let's start out with a little geography. As this graphic depicts, the tide rushes through the gap between the end of Masonboro Island and the north end of Carolina Beach. The tide's rise and fall is about 4 feet. It varies with the moon cycle and occurs twice a day. This effect causes a significant current approaching 3 knots, especially during the max tidal ebb or flood tide. Unfortunately, the constant shifting shoals cause the safe channel through it to vary in both depth and route. These shoals on both of the north and south sides are quite apparent, showing shallow water with breaking waves. The inlet is also affected by weather. Winds can stir up a nasty sea with short breaking waves. Not good for inexperienced boaters regardless of the size of their recreational vessels. So when's the best time to run the inlet? Based on our previous discussion, slack high tide, or at least a rising tide close to slack, and calm or light winds would be most beneficial. Strong onshore winds out of the north or east will be the worst. Another point to consider is that you will have to re-enter the inlet homebound, so that the tide, current, and weather will be different. Running back through the inlet can be just as hazardous as departing. If you do get caught out, the smart thing would be to run up the coast to the Masonboro Inlet, about 6 miles north, which is much more stable and protected. The smart boater will check out the tides and weather conditions for the time of the running. And there are lots of sites out there to get this information, to include the weather broadcasts on your VHF radio, TV, newspapers, and/or numerous weather and fishing websites. The actual channel through the inlet is marked by a series of buoys, monitored, moved, and sometimes replaced by the U.S. Coast Guard. Again, let me emphasize that this is a continuing challenge for the Coast Guard, hence their locations may not be as accurate as one would wish. Basically, we keep the red marks or buoys on the port side, going outbound, with the green ones on the starboard or right side. Obviously, the reverse is true inbound. Remember, red right returning. Okay, with all the discussion behind us, let's run it. We picked a great day. Winds are light, and we're approaching high tide. To save some time, the following video is compressed, but you'll get the point. We're approaching the end of Masonboro Island on the left, and the beginning of the inlet. The first mark we see is green buoy number 9, and we keep it on our starboard. Note the current, fairly strong outbound. These next marks or buoys show both sides of the safe water channel. Red on the port, green on the starboard. Here is a single red buoy, which you want to keep to your port. If you look out on the horizon, you can see the final mark, which is the red and white Carolina Beach Inlet safe water buoy, showing the end of the inlet channel. You're in safe water now. So what did we learn here? Is the Carolina Beach Inlet a monster ready to send you to Davy's locker? Not really. However, given the wrong circumstances, it can be dangerous, and it commands respect. It's up to you to make the call. Do your homework, check the weather, tides, and winds. Know your boat, your capabilities, and that of your crew. A couple of other points. Don't get yourself sideways in the inlet. Those steep breaking waves on your beam have flipped many boats. And if you're caught out, run up to the Masonboro Inlet, where things get a lot simpler. Be safe out there, and we'll see you on the water.